Hello folks, I'm Dean with Dean's Woodworking. Y'all come on in the shop and make yourself comfortable. Today, we're gonna make a candlestick. Not exactly like, but something similar to this one that I made years ago. Today, we're gonna make one out of hackberry. I've got a couple of blanks here that we're gonna go ahead and make one for the wife. She's got a candle that has bark on it, so we're gonna make a natural wood candlestick and put probably antique oil on it. So this was measuring about 7 inches long. We're coming in at about 2.5 inches wide, or square. And we've got a couple of blocks here for the end, roughly 2 inches thick, and we're roughly 4 inches square. So the blocks that we're gonna use for the top and bottom, I have pre-drilled those so that they will fit on the worm screw. And folks, before we get started, there's numerous ways to do this. I'm not saying this is the right way or even the best way. It's one of the ways I've done it. So I'm going to show you guys what we're doing on this one, and just bear in mind, you may do it different, and that's okay. If it works for you, fantastic. Keep on doing it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bring our tool rest up, make sure and spin it, make sure everything clears, and we're going to go ahead and make this thing round. Now for you new turners, notice I am not coming in out here. If I did, I would be going straight into end grain. I'd be getting catches, all kinds of problems. I'm going along the side grain and making this round. Once you get a little bit of that cut off, then you can go ahead and stop your lathe, move your tool rest in so you don't have quite so much tool hanging off the end of that out there. Before you turn the lathe back on, let's spin it, make sure we're not hitting anything. And we can go ahead and turn the speed up a little bit. I'm about 1100 RPMs right there. Okay, at this point, we're just going to flatten this front off, and we're going to cut a small recess in there to be able to put it on our chuck. Now, as I look at that, I'm a little bit high there. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See, here's center right here. And even though the top of the tool rest is at center, once I put my tool on it, it puts me cutting quite a bit higher than center. So let's drop the tool rest down so that we've got the tool coming across at center. Now you'll notice my hand is laying on this. I'm not putting pressure in on that, and I'll get a nice smooth cut. If I was to put pressure in there, the tool's going to start bouncing, and I'm going to get all kinds of ridges in that. So we've got a nice flat surface there. Let's go ahead and put a mark. Again, if you're going to do this, make sure that only the side of those dividers next to you touches, and then you can see that that it lines up with this side as well. And I got very lucky on that one and hit it on the first try. And again, I'm just going to take and cut a recess out there, and then we'll go back in. Now, just to clean that up, I'm going to come in with a skew chisel, and I'm just going to go straight in right there. And that way I know that I've got a good sharp corner down in there. And so I can take this one off, it's ready to go on the chuck. And we're going to do that one more time to this other piece, and I will be right back, okay? Okay, we've got that one ready, and at this point, we're going to take our worm screw out of the chuck, and we're going to turn this around. Now, you want that snug, but don't overdo it. You can split that wood out. Okay, we'll slow the lathe down a little bit. We're going to shoot for about 500 RPMs. We'll turn it back on, and we're going to drill, about 3/4 of an inch into the top of this, okay? And that's a 3/4 inch drill bit. Okay, so once we've got that done, we can start shaping this. On this one, if you notice, this just kind of curves in. Not a lot of decoration on the top. It just comes in so it meets up with that 3/4 inch tenon. The bottom, however, is a little bit bigger. We've got a bead coming over. The bottom just kind of comes straight up to the bead. Let's do the top first. And we're probably not going to use all of this. We'll have some that we'll waste away. So let me make a pencil mark on that. Looks like we can use just about half of it. This is not an exact science. I'm not trying to make these match anything existing. We're just kind of sort of getting close. So that pencil line represents the top. And we may go over that because we're going to have a lip for that candle to set down in. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start coming off this edge. So that's we're about to the edge, and we can adjust that some if we want. We're going to make sure that this is absolutely flat going across here, because that's where it's going to meet up with the candlestick. We're going to put just a slight bead right there. Even though that's not what the other one had, I think that might look good. Now, technically, I'm cutting the wrong direction right now. Sometimes if you take light cuts and you've got a sharp tool, you can get away with that. But you probably don't want to make a habit of it, and you want to know when you can and can't get away with it. Remember I said we may go past that just a little bit because we're going to have a lip on that? Well, that's kind of just what we just did. That's going to be beautiful once we get some finish on that. I'm going to hit this with some real quick sandpaper. I'll be right back. Hey folks, while I'm sanding this, if you don't mind, go down and hit that subscribe button, the like, and give me a comment. Let me know what you think about what I'm doing. I like the feedback. Thank you so much. Okay folks, I got that sanded and we're ready to move on to the bottom now. And let's go ahead and do it. We're going to set it to about 500 and we're going to go about 3/4 of an inch. We are good there. Okay folks, so I've set the dividers to about 1.25 inches. I'm going to make a mark on the face of this right here so that I can pretty much see what 1.25 inches is. Anytime you're using this, make sure that the side nearest you touches the wood and the side away from you absolutely does not. Okay, so that gives us a little mark there, and I'll go ahead and put a pencil line on it just so you folks can see it better. We're going to start off leaving that and shaping our base. One more thing, I'm going to go ahead and make a mark here so that I kind of have an idea of where I want that base to be, and we may adjust that a little bit, but I don't want the base as thick as that piece of wood is. I'm going to just go ahead and bevel this down to our line there, and then we can start to shape from there. Okay, I know I want a little bit of a bead here, so I'll go ahead and come in. And then we're going to just cove this out right here. Again, that swinging motion, swinging the body. Gives you a nice little cove there, a nice little cove here. Now that we've got that cove in there, we're just going to round it over. Again, we're kind of cutting the wrong direction here. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to lower this tool rest so I can lower that tool, and we're just going to almost do a shear scrape right in. In fact, we are going to do a shear scrape right in there. You see those little bitty angel hair shavings coming off of there. I think that'll work for us just fine. Okay, so some of you may be wondering, what am I doing now? Well, I am going to do a jam chuck, and the reason for doing a jam chuck is so that I can put these on here, and I can finish the top and the bottom of those pieces. Now, one of the things when you're doing a jam chuck, you want to go slow, because it's a whole lot easier to take a little more wood off than it is to put a little bit back on. This lip right here, too small. That one right there, too big. Okay, when you got that jam chuck that tight, you can do just about anything you need to do out here. Now, it is a jam chuck, and I do feel pretty safe, but I'm still going to keep my speed down a little bit more than I normally do. And I'm not going to be quite as aggressive with my cuts. And the other thing I will do is I will give this a little bit of a coved bottom. Again, I want it to sit flat. Picking up a little vibration there, folks. We're just going to chamfer that edge there just a little bit. While we're at it, since this is the base, we'll go ahead and put some rings in here just as decoration. We'll hit that with just a little 220 right there. That's as smooth as it's going to get. And there's our base. Okay, let's go ahead and get our top done. Let me show you guys exactly what I'm doing. I've got the blue shop towel. I'm basically separating the plies. Once I've got the plies separated, I'm just going to pull off a small square of that. Put that right over here. Push it up on there. I just made that a little bit tighter because it did burnish it a little bit with that first one, and that can happen. Not unusual at all. So let's go ahead and okay, let me show you guys exactly what happened here, because I don't think it's too late for us to fix it, but it's almost. The little bead here broke out. We have enough left of this inset here that I think we can capture it back on here and we can repair that. And one of the things, this is spalted wood. I won't say it's punky, it's not, but it's definitely not got all the integrity of unspalted wood. We're going to back up a little bit, but that's okay because it happens. Yes, indeed, I believe we're good as new. Folks, anybody that tells you everything goes perfect every time, let's just say they're being less than totally honest with you, okay? And let's see how this fits on here now. I think we may be okay right there. We'll give it a try and see where we go from there. So let's go just a little bit deeper, and I think we'll be okay here. I think we're good there. Now what I'm doing there is making the rim for the candle to set in. And then we're going to come flat across here. So we got a nice lip all the way around. Looks good on the outside. And that's a nice place to hold a candle. I'm going to go ahead and take the bowl gouge and make this concave just a little bit here. Because what we don't want for this to have a high spot in the middle so the candle doesn't set flat. Okay, we're going to hit it with some sandpaper real quick, and we have the top to a candlestick. We now have a base and we have a top. We just need something to go in the middle. I have a 2.5 inch square by about 7 inch long piece of hackberry here on the lathe. We're going to go ahead and make that round, put a 3/4 inch tenon on each end of it, and shape the spindle to form the candlestick, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is get the trusty roughing gouge, and we're going to go ahead and get this thing to round, okay? Let's see, I do believe we should be round there, and we are. That's going to be a beautiful piece of wood with all that spalting in it. And we'll make this the top. So we're going to come back about 3/4 inch or so. I'm just eyeballing this. We're going to come in about 3/4 inch or so, and that's going to be our tenons. So with this being the top, we're going to have a bead about right there, and we're going to have another bead about right there. About right in here is going to be our largest area. We know we need to go ahead and get this one down smaller, so we'll just do some peeling cuts here. And we'll go ahead and bring that way on down. Again, we're not trying to get it all the way down. And this is going to be our small bead. So we'll bring it down. We're going to do the same thing down here. We're going to do a peeling cut to get it. Again, we're not trying to go all the way. And then this is going to be our bead. And it's going to be a little bit bigger than the top bead, remember? I don't know how many of you saw the video where I made the tenon cutter out of a wrench, but it's just a wrench. You sharpen this end of it. I did a video on that. If you hadn't seen it, go watch it. This is a handy tool. So when you're using it, you do pull the tool rest out just a little bit. You want room for that to fit down in there. And now you have a 3/4 inch tenon that'll fit perfectly in that hole that we drilled out earlier. Okay, so we know that those tenons will fit now. I'm going to come right in here, make a slicing cut right into that tenon, and so I know that's good and square. I'm going to do the same thing on this end, and again, I know we're good and square. So now that I have the size of the tenon, I can be a little bit more comfortable in bringing this down a little bit further. Because we just want that a small bead there, no more than about that. And so now I can go ahead and do a peeling cut. So we know that our beads are going to be here and here. We can shape this in the middle now. Now that we've got that done, what I'll do is come in and we'll form that bead. One other thing, folks, practice turning left-handed if you're right-handed, and practice turning right-handed if you're left-handed. It makes it so much easier to make some of those cuts. We can do the same thing on this end as far as getting that portion of the bead turned. And we've got a ton of wood that we can take off here, okay? And again, we're just shaping this at this point, and you've got to come in with a shape that works for you. And let's go back to the spindle gouge for just a minute and clean this up right here. So what I'm doing is making this bead a little smaller and a little narrower. And I think that's going to look a whole lot better. Okay, folks, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand this up real quick. Probably going to put a burn mark right in there. Okay, folks, we've got it sanded up. Where the spur center came in here, I didn't want to get into that metal with my gouge, so I left it just a little bit big. Just absolutely not a problem to whittle that off real quick. You could actually take it over to a sander and probably knock it off even faster than you can with this little knife, but it's just not that big a deal. Certainly not worth getting one of your gouges involved with your drive center. And remember, this was the base. So that's what that looks like. This was the top. There it is without any finish on it. Folks, here you go. One coat of Minwax antique oil finish. You see the bottom. Got the rings on it. See the top has a lip. Hold one of the larger candles. This is just one coat of oil. I think it'll look really nice once we get several more coats on it. Hey folks, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and happy turning.